The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki. Hello, here I am. Welcome to the podcast. This is Nikki Glaser Podcast, coming at you 2 times a week. It's the best we can do. This, I have a feeling, might be one of the best podcasts we've ever done. I'm just gonna call it early. I just have a good feeling about it. I'm astral projecting that this will be one of the best ones. I'm in a good mood. I'm alone in my hotel room right now in Hollywood. I'm still out here in Los Angeles. I'm doing the Kelly Clarkson show tomorrow. Check that out on Wednesday. I believe it will air on Wednesday as well. And I'm joined by, of course, Anya Marina, who you just heard her song. She will be on the road with me this weekend in Kalamazoo and Joliet, Illinois. Hey, Anya.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby. Noah is also here. Hey, Noah.
Hi, BB.
Habibi. And then joining us, I'm going to get this intro right. He is a stand-up comedian called by TBS, one of the funniest comedians working today. He's the host of the game show Idiot Test on Game Show Network and streaming on Game Show Central. He was one of the stars of Chelsea Lately, and he's currently a lead anchor and contributor for The Young Turks. His critically acclaimed second-hour special titled Ben Gleib, the Mad King, just dropped on YouTube. Kelly Carlin, daughter of George Carlin, tweeted from the official George Carlin Twitter account, "I think you'll like this special by Ben Gleib. It reminds me of elements of my dad's approach. Please welcome Ben Gleib." Love that intro,
Wow.
Ben. Well, thank you so much. You made it up off the top of your head, so you got to thank yourself.
It was from my heart, really. No, I was so impressed that you sent a whole email of, you're just so organized, and it intimidates.
Well,
it doesn't intimidate me, and it I meant to say infuriates me.
Well, I also sent it 9 minutes ago, so it's not like I'm super organized.
That's a good point. Okay, that really does, it loses some of its luster with the fact that you did send it almost late. But it's the fact that you're so organized, that you're so, yesterday I did a podcast, Chelsea Alvarez's podcast, Celebrity Memoir Book Club. I forget that's the name of it. Anyway, it's on my story if you want to check it out. But we covered the Prince Harry book. And because I was about to say his last name and I realized I don't know it. Harry Windsor, is that it?
I have no idea.
guess.
What is his last name? Harry Sussex? I don't know.
Markle? Markle.
Harry Markle. And anyway, they were at can you send us a picture that we can use for the promo? And I was like, I don't have one. I don't know what picture I don't have press pictures. I was going through my phone for 20 minutes trying to find it. I was like, do I use a stand-up picture? No, this doesn't fit it. What's a picture that says, I've read a book once? I needed not a set. There were sexy photos. I'm like, that's not book photo. I just don't have a press kit.
I think a photo
I have a
of
depression
you,
kit, a depress kit.
a photo of you reading a book would be very perfect.
Yeah, that's good. Wow,
just kind of peering over the top like a sexy
blurry,
librarian.
It's like a Bigfoot photo because it's not gonna. So I read on my phone, so a picture of me looking at my phone might suffice.
I know I've seen a Nikki Glaser photo behind some Warby Parkers, just peering out sexily with your bob. Maybe it was during Nikki and Sarah Live days.
Oh,
you were
where
wearing
I had a
glasses.
short haircut because
Or
I
was
thought that would
that
fix my
not
relationship or whatever was happening at the time. God, I don't know why I did that. Bleached my hair, cut it real short. It was
Really? I
definitely
love that
inner
look.
struggle. Well, of course, you got it going on, girly.
The other
So
day, you
you-
were like, I want to chop my hair off.
Yeah, because I'm unwell inside. The other day I was
love
not
that-
feeling good.
You were in a relationship and your partner was like, look, things are great if just only your hair was shorter and bobbier.
No guy has ever wanted their girlfriend to
Never.
get shorter hair in the history of heterosexual men. Ever.
But we trick ourselves into thinking bangs or a shaved head will help, or a pixie cut will be good.
It's just, what is that desire to just change things up? Ben, you look like you have a different look going right now. It's a cleaner cut. Did you just get a haircut?
I got a haircut very recently, and I got rid of my beard that I usually grow. It's now just
Don't
stubbly,
call
but
her
it's getting
that.
back.
Is it true that beards are a sign of depression and or big transition in men's lives? I've heard either growing a
apply for
beard
me.
or cutting. Okay, good. What happened?
Yeah, we have evidence to support that right now. Ben, how are you feeling today? given your recent life change, you were engaged, now you're not. Can we say that? That was part of your intro.
Totally,
I skipped
you
over.
You can totally. That was the biggest part of my intro, known mostly from his random unengagement that happened just
that
last
you had
year.
to announce on Instagram, which is, when you announced it on Instagram, I thought, because I already knew about it, it had maybe been a month after it had happened that you announced it, maybe a little bit more. Is that right?
Yes.
You got to
Right
announce
around
it. I realized, I go, maybe he didn't need to do that. And I go, no, he does. Because people who know him know he was with her. If somehow he's behaving in a certain way, like a single guy on his stories or in other posts, people are going to start going, well, this fucking asshole, what's he doing? So people roll their eyes when people announce, like, we've decided to separate. But you shouldn't roll your eyes, because I at first was like, no one needs to know. But then I go, yes, they do, because you suddenly are going to not have her in pictures and people are going to start speculating. So you kind of just got to get it out of the way. What was your this thought process leading up to that announcement?
Yeah, I mean, it was exactly that. It's that, obviously there's going to be thousands of videos of women throwing themselves at me now. And I needed cover for that, for people to realize I'm not a dirtbag that was letting that happen just because my fiance cut her hair short or something, So I had to announce it. Plus, yeah, I also don't like to try to be as honest as I can about my life. And I didn't really want to archive the engagement post that we had a few months earlier. It's an important part of my life that, you can't change your past, and I didn't want to hide it. Plus, so I wanted to instead just update people, and they can go and see the whole messed up story,
I
Yeah.
think that's really brave. Can I ask a question about that? Because I have a weird thing that I would love to get rid of. It's an
Your
obsession. I'm afraid of people pitying me, or I hate it. I don't know if I'm afraid of it. I don't like pity, condescension. I don't like comments on Instagram like, chin up girl, or anything resembling pity. I hate it. So I would be afraid if I was in that position that I'd get comments like pitying. Or do you have that at all? Or what were some of the most uncomfortable comments or feedback you've gotten, either online or off? Or do you not have any?
No, I definitely got the full range of comments. I just don't really care. I mean, I get so much hate, typically, and you get so much disgusting things and videos I do on the Young Turks. I'll get death threats, and I'll get people, saying the worst things in the world to me. So I didn't mind a little bit of pity, because it just actually made me feel like there's some good people out there. Some people being like, stick with it, you'll be fine. I'm oh, wow, there's someone that doesn't want me to die or think I'm an asshole. So I thought that was fine. And not that I was looking for pity, but I didn't mind kind comments coming from people.
Maybe it's different for men. I feel like men are fine with pity, but if a woman's ditched or they assume that she's been rejected, it's a real, I don't know. It's definitely.
I don't have that same thing. I kind of like pity as well. I like when someone feels sorry for me, because I think I struggle with feeling sorry for myself. And I never let that in, or if I do, I feel too indulgent and go, look at your life. You shouldn't feel so. To have someone else kind of go, no, this sucks. I would hate to be where you are. It doesn't bother me that much.
That's
I wonder
cool.
what that is in you that doesn't like people to feel sorry
I'm
for
always
you.
You don't know anything about what's going on with me. People project so much onto me, and then I don't like other people reading that. And obviously it's who cares what other people think of you, or what other people think of what other people think of you. None of it really matters, but it does matter probably to my ego that it, if somebody were to write, oh, that sucks, some loser, cheated on you, and let's say they don't know the story of why I broke up with someone, I would hate that. I would want to be correction, this is actually what happened. Don't project your weird ideas onto me, or I don't know. I just don't like people knowing too much about my life or projecting.
What if they
onto
just
it.
wrote something? I'm so sorry that you're going through that.
That'd
something
be
more
nice.
vague. I mean,
that would be fine.
Who's getting specific? That fucking bitch cheated on you.
I don't know.
You poor thing. No one will ever love you again.
Oh, people write stuff like that. People write
Really?
some stuff like that. Yeah, I got some on both sides. People said I did. People said she did.
Right. People like to. Well, obviously projection. People wanting things that have happened in their own relationships to happen in others, so they don't feel so alone. But like, was there a part of you that was waiting to post that because you thought maybe it'll turn around? And then was that kind of like the final nail in the coffin for you of like, okay, I'm really letting this one go. Like I'm burying this by announcing it.
Yeah, I mean, to speak 1,000% honestly, that's why I waited a month. You're right, but then also part of me in posting it thought that maybe posting it would be like the last chance she would see that, and then be like, "What have I done?" And like come running in the rain to my door and say, "I've made a terrible mistake."
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh God, is it getting easier? Like emotionally, or is it still coming in like waves of just like do you feel it letting up a little bit?
It is getting easier, but it still does come in waves. That said, like I just messaged you after like a month of silence, like a week ago, and said like, I'm still a mess, I don't know what's happening, and every time I like when I go out, I'm trying to date again, and when I go on dates, have a great time, or if I'm focused on work, or if I'm specifically watching something on TV or whatever, I'm fine. But still, like pretty much most of the time, whenever I have a moment to think, I get a little messed up by it. It's just still so weird. It's still so like shocking and just like stunning that somebody I thought I was going to spend my life with, I don't talk to anymore and can't really talk to. And
that's the weirdest part, is that you go from everything to nothing, and there's no in between.
How does that happen?
Like, we'll just hang out and because
it doesn't seem right at all.
It doesn't, and that's the really risk that you take in starting a relationship with anyone, is like, there's a really good chance we're gonna hate each other at the end of this. I mean, really good chance. I mean, how often?
But no one ever thinks that. You never talk about that up top. You never think it. You think for sure you're going to stay together forever, or it'll just be perfect ending and happy. And like, I just don't get that. Like, one of the last texts I sent her was like, I think Gwyneth Paltrow's conscious uncoupling phrase is pretty lame, but I think the idea is right on. It's like, why do you have to make it hard? We can just make it easy on ourselves. We can be friends. And then I got a solid no response to that. So and I'm pretty sure I'm blocked now on text because it turned green instead of blue.
No, or she got an Android, and she's really changed.
Trust me,
she's hurting.
Yeah,
I
know her. Poor. She would much rather block me than ever have an Android. So I'm pretty
we were
sure.
talking about it the other day, how Androids, like, you just see green text pop up and you just kind of go, ugh. Like, there's a judgment that you can't help. And it's based on capitalism and consumerism and just the most shallow thing. But I can't help it. It doesn't matter that I know it doesn't, that I know Matt, Anya's fiance, has an Android, and I know he's a great guy and he's not a bad person or like less of a person, but he has green bubbles that pop up, and I'm just like, oh, it's just
they shouldn't be allowed in any group text. They mess up group texts.
I've seen that. They do. It is very care though that Apple has made people care, because it's so care to be like, oh my God, you don't have an iPhone, you're lame. That is the most care.
I know, but like, we do it for cars and apartments, parts of town people live in. I mean, it's not like that absurd that we've, I don't think if you had a fiance, you would be as upset that has a green phone, that you would be as upset about this,
No, he has a green phone, and that also infuriates me.
green bubbles.
No, it's a little ridiculous. Like I understand we don't want to be bougie about it, but at the same time, it's like gathering with your close friends, about to be on a road trip, and your buddy with the manual roll down windows is like, I'll drive. No, you're not. You're not driving. Yes. I appreciate you. That's how you get around, but don't involve me in this.
And it doesn't, I don't know that it slows down any communication, but it does kind of, because they have to be like in a building that has good Wi-Fi signal to like, they have to get, I don't know. I don't rely on bars a lot of times, like for my Wi-Fi signal or like for my.
And you can't reply to text. You can't reply directly to a text from earlier in the chain.
If you want to laugh at something they said or like heart it, it's like, Nikki hearted, and then it like quotes it. It's awful. It's awful, and it draws too much.
Nikki finds that to be very amusing. Come on, that's not the same as a ha-ha.
It's not the same as an exclamation mark. Like, Nikki responded shocked at, like, it's like, no, that's too much. The reason we have those little dots is so that there's not an extra text that comes down. That it is inherently the problem with the green text, is that you can't do those easy little replies.
Yes.
I also feel like, have you ever had like Siri tell you what someone's emoji is? Like, Anya responded with heart, like with red cheeks and hearts coming, or like a smiley face with hearts coming out of its eyes. To your like, it like describes it. And you're just like, oh god.
I used
Siri,
to do this thing with my friend where we figured out a way that Siri would read, like you would say like, call Dina. Like I have a friend Dina, and then we would put all these emojis after, and Siri would read them out, but it would be like, call Dina, angel baby face, medium skin tone. it would say the whole thing, like little angel baby, medium skin tone, eggplant, star, water squirt. And then it would
all of your friends happen to be yellow. Why are you discriminatory?
Oh my god, have you ever dealt with someone who is a white person that sends darker color, like skin colored emojis, like with more melanin? That is so weird to me.
Yes.
And it's usually a friend that's not being ironic, like, oh, I'm sending a black person. I'm clearly, they like think, no, they're usually not woke. They're being like, they're almost like anti-woke. And so they're making fun of it. That's what I meant to say. It's so, I kind of go, this is worse than if you had an Android phone. Like, get out of here with this.
Yes. I'll sometimes get a black fist from a white friend. Yeah, it's a black fist emoji. I'm like, this is wrong in every way.
He's woke.
Yeah, he thinks he's black. He thinks he's black and woke.
Oh God! Wait. So Ben, what are some changes that you've done? Like, what are some of the coping mechanisms you've gone through the breakup with? Like, have you changed your hair? Have you started going out, like throwing yourself into things, late nights, like partying a little bit more? I've noticed. I mean, like all of these things. Is your drug use increasing? Like, what people always write to me and they go, do you have anything about breakups? Like, I always send them like, podcasts I've listened to when I go through breakups. I kind of want to talk about breakups in this, if you don't mind, to like,
no, it's fine.
So people can commiserate, because literally everyone, it's the most, relatable thing we've all been through, and you're in it.
I am. So, I mean, I've done a lot. I've definitely drinking more. That's been challenging on my trying to lose weight, but I've started with a personal trainer. So I'm working out 3 times a week. That's kind of good. Trying to.
Oh, I thought you were drinking with your personal trainer.
I started getting drunk with a personal trainer, eating fatty foods and not moving. No, we are working out, and
you watch him train other people while you sit in the corner.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, 3 times a week, that's pretty good. I mean, that keeps you going. You could really only see him once and then just repeat what he taught you, but no one does that. We need someone to like yell at us.
It's a female, by the way, but
her.
Not
Sorry,
that it matters.
I assumed. Don't even
LA
mention
Miss
a doctor.
Bev Hills, come on.
Of course it's a woman. He's got to bounce back.
I got to bounce back. Look, not that I have any ill will whatsoever towards my ex. I'm not even looking at her social media, and that's nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm blocked. And but like from what I hear in the grapevine, I wish her the best. I hear she's doing a lot of blackface now. I hear she's doing a lot of anti-Semitic stuff, and she's Jewish, so I don't even understand that. But I wish her the best. I hear she's doing great. None of that is true. No, but I'm doing that. I was early on. I was writing some poetry that was just kind of like pouring out of me.
Oh my God, yes. You shared some of it with me. It was so sweet.
I did.
And Ben made me read it. I'd be like, oh, that was great. And then he goes, it's not done. There's more. I'd be like, why are you?
She's like
it's
trying
been
to go
7
home.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, there's only 18 more poems.
Oh,
Nikki,
we were
finish
parked
these.
in front of my apartment I was staying at, and he's like, "Just wait, I think there's a little bit more." And I'm like, I feel like I'm back at school again." And you're like, "Finish the entire thing," but it was really good, and it was so sweet and like emotional, and like such a good way, I feel like, to process your feelings. And we also were listening to. We were just like singing in the car on the way when you gave me that ride to Santa Monica. And I heard the song the other night, actually. You probably think that you are better now, better now. And Ben and I were like screaming it. It felt so cathartic. Have you been doing any singing karaoke? Like, has that helped you? Because you have a whole setup at your place.
I do have a karaoke studio. I've been doing a lot of solo karaoke. I will broadcast it on Instagram Live sometimes to 18 people, so the career is going well.
I relate to that. I've done the same thing.
Yes. And I've been doing a lot of that. That Better Now song by Post Malone was killing me. I've finally stopped listening to my breakup playlist like 2 weeks ago because it's been like 2.5, 3 months since the breakup. But I have to say also just like leaning on my friends. I've had friends checking in on me. And Nick, just so your listeners can hear this, you might not want me to say it, but you've been so lovely and kind to me during this breakup, and like you really helped make it a lot easier on me. You've been an amazing friend during this.
I've fallen off recently, but like I get texts from you, and like because you're nocturnal, and so I'll get texts from you or DMs usually in the middle of the night, and I can tell you're going through a hard time, or you're like, and then I check in on you on Instagram and I say, oh, he's having a fun time. Oh, he's kind of like, he's getting out about town. He's dating. Like I can tell you're like trying to fill the void, but I know that it's tough. And I know that you have a ways to go because it's, you were engaged. You were in, how long were you guys together? Years and years.
4.5 years. Yeah. Basically half a decade of life, But,
I know, and in an important decade of life, like one, like almost dare I say, our prime, and you just go. Do you feel it was wasted? Do you, or do you look back and you go,
and that's hurtful. Both didn't need to be.
As someone who's freezing their eggs, I'm really like very cognizant of what time is wasted, and like, oh, this is the prime shit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was wasted, or do you look back like I'm glad that I had that, or what are, I'm sure you go through the range of feelings on this.
Yeah, I do. I mean, a little bit of both. I try not to ever regret things in my life, and I don't feel it was wasted in the fact that like, I finally lived with somebody. I finally dated somebody more than 1.5 years, and I know that I can do that. And we had great memories, and the pandemic was a lot of it, and so I could have been alone during that, and instead I was with this lovely human that I, was getting closer to, and that was good. But when I'm on the dating apps now, and like most people that I'm matching with, they're like, she's 57. She's 54. Yeah. She's 49. And no offense, but
settings.
Yeah, but I do want to know who is interested, no matter what the range is.
Yeah, because you once had a vibe with Susan Sarandon, and that you didn't capitalize on. So there's
correct.
Your
Sally Field,
and Sally Field, Natalie Portman. He has had chances with all these women, and he's blown it. We'll talk about that more when we get back right after this with Ben Gleib. We're back with Ben Gleib. You can check out his special on YouTube, Ben Gleib, Mad King. Hilarious. One of the best specials of last year, I believe.
Thank
Ben,
you,
you're going through a breakup. Have you been dating? And like, here's my question is like, do girls that you're dating think they have a chance at a relationship with you? Do they have a chance at a relationship with you? I think I've dated so many guys that are getting out of things, and I'm like, oh, this is like, and they're super down to like be cuddly and like treat me like a girlfriend because they're missing their girlfriend. And then you realize that you're just a placeholder and they have no intention of that and they need to heal. Is that happening to you at all?
That is a tough one to answer considering people could listen to this, but I will say, yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard the comment like, I don't want to be your rebound.
Oh,
like, we'll be having a great time, and then you can feel somebody kind of all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, am I like, catching feelings when that might not last long term? But I don't feel any one way. I'm by no means looking for another relationship this second, but at the same time, I'm not somebody who's gonna avoid one if something unfolds in a way
you're actually, I would encourage a friend to date you. I'd be like, if you're the right one, he'll make an exception. He'll snap out of it. I feel like
Thank you.
Because you're kind of ready. I mean, obviously you were ready to settle down and like find someone. Is it hard dating in LA? Like, is it as hard as everyone says? Like, what's without?
It has not been hard. I mean, knock on wood. I have a lot of wood in front of me. I didn't mean that the way it sounded. I just have, cabinets here in front of me. It has not, I mean, luckily, and I really think it's like the universe like wanted me to not be that depressed after the breakup. Like I've had a streak of luck that has really like made me feel very much better about the breakup. And I've been able to spend time with some people and like realize there's a whole world out there again. And it has made it a lot easier. Definitely, at least when I'm hanging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's my question is that, and I'm always projecting because I never dated a guy that I wouldn't want to be their girlfriend. I mean, I don't even think, maybe if I was going on first dates that I met on a dating app, I'd be like, well, I don't know this guy, so we'll see. But if I was like ready to bed you, I was like ready to be your girlfriend. And so I always ask my guy friends, like, how do you sleep with women and them not get attached and not end up having them hate you and want to like, and have this turn where they're like, they were cool with being casual. You thought they were, you maybe had a talk, but it like wasn't that clear. And then they changed their mind. Anya, I mean, I know you're like me too, and Noah to a degree as well. Like, how do men go about and sleep with women and not leave a string of women hating them in their wake, like me, who got the wrong message or who changed it in my head? Yeah, I mean, is that it?
I think Gen
he's
Z is
dating
a little more.
56-year-old women.
Yeah, no, I'm all over the range right now. And first tip I would give you is maybe try to frame it in your head in a way where you're not thinking, I'm about to bed this man like you are a Victorian queen. What are you in the Renaissance? I'm about to bed him.
I was trying to be, discreet. But yes, I mean, every single time that you go on a date with someone, the stakes are high. I mean, the stakes are, we're at least gonna fucking is generally the goal. Like, if this goes great, we're gonna want to fuck each other, and then in our head, we're gonna marry this guy. I mean, it's undeniable that is on the table, and that you can't keep that even in your subconscious. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. No girls are going on dates just to like. Even if they say, I'm just dating, I don't really want a boyfriend, I don't really believe them. I think that everyone's kind of looking out for the one. And I think that's a lot of pressure. And then if there's good chemistry, you certainly are going to start daydreaming about them being the one. Maybe I'm crazy, but I always did.
No, I think probably that's true if it like starts maybe on like a normal date, if it's like properly going out. But some of the opportunities that I've stumbled into, like I'll meet somebody at an event or something,
yes.
or we're out drinking, and like, so then it's like, all right, well, it's not too weird to like, go home with somebody if you've already both been drinking and it wasn't set up to be this romantic
Do you
thing.
Think if you weren't drinking that you have had as many hookups as you've had? I mean, like, how much does drinking play a role in hooking up?
I would absolutely not have, and alcohol is a big part. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine about this who's been sober for a few months. He's like, it's been very hard to date. I wish that wasn't the case, but like when both parties are a little buzzed, I think that maybe is kind of the answer to what you're saying is like, if a girl's a little buzzed too, she's thinking more sexually than maybe normally, and she's not thinking all about romance and bedding Prince Charming and Victorian Castle as much.
She is, but you're going to get that later on when she's sober. And that's the problem is that, I mean, like, do you feel like any of these girls have like kind of followed up, or are they the type of girls that like are used to this kind of thing and like they know the drill? You get drilled and then you don't hear from them again. Like, do they or have you left, girl? Have you had to have those conversations of like, I'm not really looking for something right now? I've had so many of those directed at me that it's just, I can't imagine women get to go out and about and like not get hurt by hooking up. I just can't believe it.
Well, firstly, I try to be as kind as I can, so I'll keep giving it to them. I'm not trying to cut anybody out. I'm trying to.
But if they're catching feelings and you're
I'll keep,
the wood.
I'll keep sleeping with them. I don't need to. I don't need to.
I heard,
I'm not
right?
trying. Yeah, I'm not trying to, have one-offs too much necessarily. If somebody wants some repeat business, I'm happy to offer a public service.
Because you have sex repeatedly with someone and you start to have this intimacy and they start thinking about you in those quiet times and they start fantasizing, and then there's you've been through it before for sure, where the girl just says something throws out dangles a line of like, oh, if we were dating, or like you were my boyfriend, or just where you go, oh no.
Well, I think the key in those moments is that's when you have to be honest, is you have to one move is like let that comment kind of sit for 20, 30 seconds and like show that it made you a little bit uncomfortable, and then say like, I just want to be clear, like I'm not at the moment looking for anything serious. Not that that's not possible, but just so you know.
That's
just
my
so you know that if you're...
It's making me have anxiety. I mean,
but
Noah
if you're
is too.
straight out of a breakup,
seriously
they know
having
that.
panic attacks.
No, I wish there were a class
you think
for
we
women.
know, but we
don't know.
do know. We know you're out of a relationship. We know that you're not looking for anything. You told us all of that. We think we can change you. We think you might be able
to. You might be able to.
That's
not when you
part.
say something like that. That's like you put up the Heisman, and you are like, no, this is.
But the
I'm
only
saying
reason
it right now directly.
You're not giving consent to us to take you on our little relationship path. You are
Fair.
saying no.
But the reason that I'm saying it, and I think I at least try to say it with a bit of an open door on it, I'm just saying it so that you know that this may not likely lead there, but it may. I'm not ever saying, just so you know, there's no chance I'm going to get in a relationship. I'm just saying
might know
I'm not
there's no
looking for
chance.
that.
I mean, there's definitely been girls where you're
That's
like,
great
I
that
like
you do that,
banging you,
though.
but it's, and I'm not saying you're at fault. I want to be clear. I'm not, Ben, you mislead women. I'm just saying, how are women not getting hurt all the time sleeping around with Ben Gleib? He's charming. He's cute. I bet you are pretty good in bed. You've had experience. You're an emotional person. That's the thing. Ben, you're an emotional person. I can see you holding a girl's face and being you're so beautiful, baby. And being when you're drunk, I can see you so getting lovey-dovey.
Oh, I do that.
Boyfriendy. Yes. And I mean, it would be impossible for a girl
Do
who's
you
already
have
just
hurt feelings, or do women have hurt feelings around you? Have you experienced that?
I'm generally pretty lucky to do it. I mean, I think part of maybe the benefit of not being an asshole guy is I am very complimentary and I try to be very sweet. And I think, but I'm also just honest, and I think they also just can tell they're not getting anything false from me. And so I think I'm very sweet, but people then know that even if I don't necessarily call right after, or if we don't make plans immediately right after, it's nothing against them. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just I'm going through a thing, and they understand. And then we'll check in and we'll text.
Because you said there could be a girl that would break through it. It is personal, and I know it's not. I know the circumstance.
Yeah, it's
and
not about
every
them.
person. But boy, does it feel that it is.
I mean, I will tell you one very weird experience that I just had though. So the first person that broke the seal, so to speak, after my breakup, it was a drunken night after a gig I did. It was a private party gig. Oh
yeah, I was supposed to go to that.
No, it was a different one.
Was that down?
One.
Oh, okay.
That was a different one. That was the other night, which also ended.
I
ended
definitely saw that night. I saw your Instagram stories. I was like, oh, this guy might be engaging in a foursome.
Yeah,
okay.
listen, I'm just trying to have fun. But the point is, the first person that I slept with after my breakup, I kind of conveniently for where I was in my head, because it was immediately after the breakup. Not immediately. It was weeks and weeks later. I don't want my ex thinking, if she hears this, that I immediately did
She's not
anything.
coming back. Don't worry. Okay.
I'm curious how long it was. Really, weeks and weeks? Okay.
It was weeks and
14 days.
And so,
The least amount of time there could be to call it weeks.
Yeah.
it was a couple of weeks in dog years. The point is, she was likely leaving for a trip the next day for a couple of weeks. So I didn't have to call, and it was obviously weird. But then, I started hanging out with other people after that, and I didn't hit her up. And one thing I do feel bad about, she did message me. It's very unlike me, actually, but she messaged me about wanting to hang out again weeks later, because I had messaged her. I thought about her on something, and I messaged her, and she wrote back. She's like, I'd love to hang again. I just didn't reply to that. And I always reply to everything, but I didn't reply. I got distracted, and I didn't know what to say, and I thought about it, and I didn't reply, and I almost never do that. But I was doing a show 4 or 5 nights ago, and I did a joke about our encounter, and the show ends, and she comes up to me. She was in the crowd.
Was it bad?
I'll tell you the exact joke. exact joke.
Yeah.
It was not great. The joke was, it was a pretty vulnerable joke too. The joke was, I haven't had sex with anybody other than my ex-fiance in a half decade. The climate's changed a bit, it's all good, but you need to be a little more sensitive these days. So we were having sex, and I was making what I would describe as bear noises. And I don't need to act them out for you, but they were kind of bear noises. In the middle, she says to me, I just need to check in with you right now. And so in the middle of me going suddenly I had to go,
and then
right back to the bear noises.
Wait, what
from
did
this
she mean
little
by
smile.
that?
She wanted to check back in to know that I wasn't just all about the sex, I think, and that I was still a human connecting to a human.
Yes.
Guys maybe can get a little carried away and we're fucking right now, and this is a riot or whatever,
Yes. I need to make sure I'm in the room. I'm not just a whole.
Yeah, she wanted
What did
to know
she say?
And so I smiled and we finished. It was all good. And I was like, she's finally going right back to bear noise as long as she knew that there was still a connection. And so she came up to me after the show and I was like stunned and I gave her a hug and I'm like, you look great. And then she texted me afterwards. She was like, I hope it's okay that I came to your show. I just think you're hilarious and I wanted to hang and that was definitely a first for me, being referenced in an act like that from our encounter.
She loved
Unless
it.
another girl said that to you, in which case it's an issue you might want to work on, LOL.
Oh, that's good. I like this girl.
I like
It was
that.
cute.
She definitely loved being referenced. I would love it if I was referenced in someone's joke.
I had that happen
because
once.
You didn't
did?
do anything wrong. You did?
I
Thank you.
wrote a song about a guy, and this was years ago. We had a very romantic weekend, and I liked him so much. And then I just never heard from him again. And he was my friend's brother. So I would kind of always know him because he was my friend's brother. I wrote one song about him. I never played it live except one time. I played it live like a year and a half later in a coffee shop at a coffee shop gig in one of my early gigs. And I remember introducing the song. It was called Lincoln Continental. And I said something like, this is about a very cute guy I liked and went on a date and, never really heard from him again. And we had a very romantic weekend. Don't know whatever happened to that asshole. Then I played a song. And then after the gig, he's there. And he was like, I was going to surprise you. And I just wanted to say hi. I couldn't believe, I was kind of mortified because he wasn't totally an asshole. He just ghosted.
Well, yeah.
but-
Again, in your head that you made him into an asshole when really it was probably a situation of like he just didn't have the same feelings that you had, and he thought he communicated that, and he didn't go like ghosting. I feel like we toss that around a lot, but like, how often do you really you write to them a question or something and you just hear nothing? Like,
Yeah, we probably ghosted each other.
yes.
Did you have sex in the back of a Lincoln Continental?
Yeah. Why was it called that?
Because that would maybe be one
You have
little
to hear
clue
the
that it wasn't
song.
the most serious of hookups.
No, I don't think that we went all the way, but we did have fun in the Continental.
Fair enough.
But it was so weird that he came and like it was that night. It was just so bizarre. It was
he
just
came
felt like
both
it was a
nights,
cosmic.
probably.
Yeah, of all the times. I don't know that that's happened to me, but I think that someone coming to she clearly still likes you, and she definitely was like dazzled by the fact that you wrote about her, and it wasn't anything bad. She just was saying that you were just saying you didn't say anything mean about her pussy or something that I'm sure a lot
No, I
of
don't
women
do
have
that.
gone to Crystalia's show and been like, he might talk about me, and then it's like
Yeah.
they catch something that you're like, oh, that's me, or like I'm sure there have been girls that have been devastated by things they've heard. I've seen guys do comedy on Conan and talk about their wives in ways that I'm just like, this is humiliating. And I've certainly done that before too. When I'm hurt, like you write a joke about or a song, Anya, like where you're like, he didn't really do anything wrong. I just like was hurt. We have a mutual friend who just like the same kind of thing. He was hooking up with a girl. He didn't have the same kind of feelings that she did. He let her down gently, and then she fucking hates him now and like just is constantly bullying him and like getting other people to hate him. And we were giving him advice about it, and I'm like, I've done this so many times. This has nothing to do with whatever she's saying. She's trying to get you canceled for like whatever shit that you've posted about or your comedy or calling you a phony. It's because you didn't like her. That's
Yeah.
all
Well,
this
That's
is about.
not cool. You've done this to people? That's not
Yes,
okay.
it's so not okay. It's so not okay. I've apologized. I've made amends to those people, to that person that I did that to. But I was just he didn't handle it in the greatest way. And there were definitely problems with how he did things on his side. But the venom with which I hated him afterwards and tried to like rally other people to hate him was purely from a place not of anything other than just feeling rejected and being so mad that I loved this person and they didn't love me back. And it's like, it's just this young person's response, or a dumb person. Like I see a lot of women, like I have guy friends and I see women in their late 30s behaving this way, up into their 40s, and I go, this is something you get out of in your 20s, I would hope. I mean, I was probably 34, so I guess no, I was pretty late to the game. But I was a late bloomer, like just getting hurt. That's why when I talk to my male friends and they have casual hookups, I'm always like, how are you not leaving a wake of just angry women behind you?
I don't think I've ever
you have
really
either. I believe
pissed
you.
off a woman in that
You
way.
would
In any
know.
way. Oh yeah, I would know. I just think it's with being kind and expressing yourself honestly. I don't think it's fair for somebody to expect that every hookup or even every dating for a few weeks is going to lead to a relationship. And I think people that are mature kind of understand that.
But it doesn't
if a guy tells you I am not, just so you know, this isn't anything serious, listen.
Right.
It's very crucial.
We all think that we can change them. And also we start having, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but like when you have sex with a guy, the chemical things happen that take over your logical brain. And it doesn't matter what you know to be true. It doesn't matter what he's told you, and that logic is out the fucking window when you have good sex with someone and feel like and start to like them. It doesn't matter. You're gonna start fantasizing about a life with them and get hurt. Every time I see young girls, like even my niece Poppy, I'm just like, the world of hurt she is in for. And even boys too, obviously. Ben, you're going through it. Like I look at children now, and instead of being like, man, they have such great lives ahead of them, like they get to go to high, like I used to be jealous that they get to go to high school and they get to just like still enjoy cartoons, and they get they get riled up by like, they get to have candy. Like that's exciting to them. Like they don't have to pay taxes. Like, and now I just think, they're just going to they have to learn so many lessons, and it bums me out for them.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, as you did your list until taxes, I'm like, I still do every one of those things now. I'm enjoying cartoons. I had a bag of Skittles 2 nights ago with children's cereals late night.
But then you feel fat the next day when you're a kid. You're
I
just
didn't
like,
feel good. The whole time I was hating every bite. I'm like,
that's
a
the
horrible
thing. That's
person.
what I mean. Like the unbridled, like candy is just candy. It's only just sugar and happiness. It's not hating yourself afterwards. It's not like there's no. As a child, I don't know. Maybe there's our children who feel like they hate themselves. Like I think given your circumstance, you can have bad self-esteem. But as a kid, I didn't compare myself to other people. I didn't worry about what I put in my body. I didn't think about, I didn't dread things. I mean, there was certainly like, the end of summer, school again, like, this sucks. But like, there wasn't this like overwhelming sense of like, I don't know. I'm just feeling it this morning of like, all I want to do is sleep. I just want an escape from like things to do. And like, I'm having trouble like, finding happiness in the climb, in the experience. Like I'm doing Kelly Clarkson tomorrow, and I'm dreading it because I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I hate all my jokes. I'm in this like very negative phase of like, I don't even want to do my jokes on Kelly Clarkson because then people will come see me on tour and be like, we already saw this. I kind of know this, and they won't know where they heard it, but they'll think she's just doing old material. I don't have it in me right now to come up with new stuff. I have to go to a fitting. I'm just feeling like kind of dry and my spray tan sloughing off. And I'm like, everything about it is bumming me out. And I know I'm going to do it and I'm going to have a blast. And then it's going to be over. And I'm going to have this glossy clip that I can put up and be proud to be like, look what I did, America. I'm still relevant. Put me in things and give me more work that I can dread. It's like, what am I doing? All I want is for more people to get more work and to be more well-known or whatever it is. And yet every time I get something, I dread it. What
that's
is
one
this?
thing that I try to help you with sometimes. I mean, just try to remind you to appreciate it. I mean, you're at the top of the world right now. You're where everyone wishes they would be in this entertainment industry. You get to do every show. You get to be in every single thing. You're so in demand, and
nice.
Most people wish they could be experiencing what you're experiencing, especially people pursuing it. And also, you're just hilariously funny and charming, so you can also just go on and riff these things. You don't even have to burn jokes. You can just go and riff. And
I'm not that good.
You're pretty damn good. I mean, you can call her out and make fun of things on her desk and talk about someone in the audience or someone that you met backstage that worked on the crew that had a funny thing on. Like, you're great at all that stuff. You're great at making observations.
About everything you talked about here today.
Yeah, talk about my breakup and how I'm clearly breaking hearts of people. And bring that up.
Talk about Ben's fucked up relationship life.
Thank you, Ben. You've given me so much material today. Yeah, after this, what I'm going to do as soon as we end this podcast is I'm going to get back in bed. I'm going to close all the curtains, shut the lights off, and I'm just going to think about the Kelly Clarkson call that I have to have and come up with some. That's like how, and then I'll probably fall asleep and then wake up and be like, oh, fuck, I missed the call. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. But I just want to go back to sleep where like I don't know. Last night I was in a field holding hands with David Letterman, and then he bit my hair and was chewing my hair, and then he spit it on Alonzo Bowden's coat, and that was my dream, and it was awesome, and that was a better life than
He was chewing your hair, and
Yeah,
then he
he
took
bit
some
my
of it
hair.
out.
And,
Ladies and
like,
gentlemen,
ripped
today I'll be
a piece
bidding Nikki
out.
Glaser's hair and then spitting
Yes.
it on the great Alonzo Bowden, everybody.
And he spit it on Alonzo's wool coat, and we were in line
God.
to go on Andrew Santino's talk show, and we were all waiting in line. And then I took his spit because I remember when he was holding my hand, I was like, "No one's gonna fucking believe that David Letterman's like trying to fucking cop a feel right now and hold my hand." And I was like, and then he bit my hair, and I go, "No one's gonna believe this either." And then he spit it on Alonzo's coat. I grabbed it because I was like, I have his DNA and my hair and then
How much
I woke
hair?
up.
How much hair?
It didn't bother me. Usually, like, obviously losing my hair is like my biggest fear. But it was like I was wearing my hair up in a ponytail, so it was just the top scalp, and it was just like a little bit. Like it just, I don't know. It didn't bother
I
me.
know
I
what
just
this
was
is.
like,
I already
what?
know what this is.
What is this?
When were you last wearing your hair up?
A couple days ago, I think. Oh, I guess for the Critics' Choice Awards.
And you were surrounded by celebrities, and you were waiting in a line, and they didn't let you in on the red carpet. They made you go downstairs. In real life,
Yes.
they told her the red carpet was closed. She has to go to a step and repeat down in the fucking basement.
Damn.
So this dream is about fame, about your place in the world of fame. Your worst fear is somebody taking your hair out, but it's an icon. So he is being sexual with you, takes your hair, spits it, and then who's Alonzo Bowden to you?
He's another comedian. A respectable, strapping, handsome, been around forever, one last comic standing, friendly guy. I don't know. Like someone I respect, but who isn't like the most famous, but who is definitely respected in comedy. I don't know. I don't know what he is to me. He's wearing a wool camel coat. I mean, this all checks out. We were waiting for Andrew Santino's show, and as we were waiting for his talk show, I was like, why can't I come up with a talk show like this? Like the whole time I was just like, why did he, and instead of a talk show, it was like a projected on a wall, like a desk was a projection. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And now I realize I came up with it. It was my dream.
Yeah.
I created that TV show. I should, get a credit for it. But yeah, I mean, I think all of that is true. I felt, as you're saying that, Ben, of like, you're at the top of your game, people would want to beat you. I feel that some days, and then I think going to that, and that people heard me talk about it yesterday, and it's such like first world problems, like but just feeling so small in that room, like just feeling like no matter what I do, I'll never be as big as any of these people and as worshipped and as like, and not that I even want that. And that was another thing, is like the thing that I think I want, I don't even want, because at the same time I was having this, it was a paradox of like, I want to be more known because no one cares about me in this room. I'm fucking in the same room as Julia Roberts. I mean nothing. It's like me, I could be a cater waiter and it would be the same. Like I'm closer to their level than Julia Roberts. Like, and not that there's any, I'm just talking about status on a very superficial level. Don't come at me. I'm a cater waiter. I'm just saying I felt so unimportant, but at the same time, I don't like the worship of Julia Roberts. She's just a person that was born with a pretty skull and a good skin and is able to portray strangers better than other people. It's not really a skill that has any kind of redeemable quality outside of the society we're living in now. Like Conan often references like in another world, like in like the turn of the century, and take any century besides the recent one, his skill would have been worthless. Like just being like the court jester, like he wouldn't be the most famous person. He would just be a guy, like
The caterer's more important because you die if you don't eat. You die if you don't eat food. But
Downton Abbey, he doesn't have a place.
That show has to be called Downtown Abbey. I hate that
I
it's
know.
Downton, but I'm sure that's been well trodden
I've
territory.
only watched one episode
It's very
because
annoying
Theo
that it's
James
Downton.
was in it, and then
But-
he died, and I go, I'm done.
But I have several issues with the whole premise of what you just said, which is I think that, I mean, it was very cute, your posts about being next to Julia Roberts and you sitting at the table and she was just here and touched my chair and everything. But if you had the confidence just to go up to her, say, hi, I think you're awesome, she probably would have been like, oh my God, I love you and everything you're doing. She probably does know who you are. And she probably I mean, best example, you said you're nowhere near these people like worshiping you or caring about you. It's not true at all because, I mean, look at Chelsea Handler, who I'm still friends with. I used to be very close with when I was on her show, and we would hang out all the time. And like every celebrity on earth idolizes
Knew who
her.
she was.
A
Yes.
party at her house, and like Gwen Stefani and Sandra Bullock and Charlize Theron and Jane
Yes.
Fonda are all at the party being like, oh my God, Chelsea just walked by. Chelsea just did this. I was at one point talking me, Jane Fonda, and Chelsea Handler in a little triangle, and then Jane whispers something in Chelsea's ear. Chelsea makes a disgusted face and walks off without replying to her. And icon of our time, of our of many generations, Jane Fonda turns to me insecurely and says, "Was it something I said? I never know what to think with that woman. What's going on in her head?" And I was like,
Right.
thank God, it's not just me that responds that way to Chelsea.
Yes.
It's even fucking Jane Fonda. And so
right.
everybody has that issue, and just realize that if you remind yourself we're all the same, even Julia Roberts in that moment is the same and realizes probably, because she seems like a nice person, that she's the same. And then, I mean, it did help soften the blow minutes later that Jane and I did Molly together. But the point is,
Really?
yeah.
Oh
did-
my
Wow.
God, she's so cool.
It was her first time doing Molly, too. It was really fun.
Oh my God. Wait, where
I've
did the
never
evening
done
go?
Molly.
We just got really high, and then I called next to play Edward Norton ping pong next. He was playing ping pong against some dude, and then Jane Fonda's like, "Oh, I have to see that." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "I want to see you playing ping pong on Molly." And so I'm playing ping pong with Edward Norton, and all of a sudden, halfway through the game, this icon, Jane Fonda, Barbarella just plops down on a couch and is watching us play ping pong.
She's so cool.
And then, like, I lost 21-16, and I said, let's run it back. And he's like, why don't you find somebody more at your skill level? And I was like, that's hurtful. And then he said later, he's like, don't worry, I studied under a Chinese master when I lived in China. I'm like, very Edward Norton sounding thing to say.
Oh my God. No kidding.
Yeah. And then I gave some drugs. I gave some Molly to Matthew Broderick, who then left
What?
before I got to put my baggie away. And I'm like, Matthew, get back here. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'm putting my baggie away. You can't take the drugs and then leave me exposed with the bag out. He's like, sorry, I didn't know. I'm new at this or whatever. And so I made him stay until I put it away in my pocket. It was a wild
Whoa.
night. It was a fun night.
That is so cool.
This
but
is just Ben's dream from last night.
Not only was it not a dream, but not to rub this in, Nick, but last night I fucked David Letterman, just so you know. It's the best.
I get
Best.
it. I mean, I understand. But at the same time, I think that is so lame to like have all like whenever I see like celebrities bragging about being friends with all these celebrities, I don't really think they're real friends. I think it's all just a show, and then that depresses me. It's like I'd rather just be with my close friends that I can actually talk to, and like we can show each other our vaginas, and like there's been like
I thought you and I were close, Nick.
someday, Ben. I don't want to get attached though. No, bear noises. I just feel like
I've ruined myself to all your listeners. You're like, I'm out.
No,
Bear
I feel
listeners.
like most men make bear noises. I felt like
Yeah.
that was actually a good description of like
Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah.
I'm just like waking up from a hibernation. I'm just kind of like
Yes, it
being roused. But yeah, I just feel like I don't know. This is the dumbest conversation for me to complain about any of this stuff. But there's just a point in my life where I'm like the things I've pursued that my goals are all based on a superficial thing. To me, I feel like, and like last night I was with my friend's son Leon. He's like a little baby, and he remembered me from like I've seen him like 3 times in his life, and he's 9 months old, and he remembered me and was like crawling on me and just like laying his head on me, and then his little hand was like gripping me, and I like was zooming in on his hand, just like trying to grabbing onto me, like holding onto me, and I was like, that is cooler to me than any celeb encounter. Like that's what makes me happy. And I hate to sound like that's really what this is about. It's about nature and family and friends. Like, but it really is. Like, why am I not pursuing babies grabbing at me more? I guess.
I mean, can I just
thing.
say, if one of the girls I was sleeping with said that story, I would not text again.
Maybe it's the truest thing he said all day.
Yeah, I mean that's not a good sign.
That's good to know.
I'm mostly joking, but I mean, it's not something you want to hear on date 1 or 2.
I
It's
would
like the
not-
only
I'm
happiness I
smart
get is
enough
my
not to do
hand
that.
being gripped by a young baby. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, well, let's slow
But
it down.
don't want, but I don't want a baby. Another paradox is like that's what brings me the most joy. Yet I don't want a baby. It's like these constant.
Then I would
like,
text back.
He just changed his mind.
I just want to hold random babies' hands and then get the fuck out of there. I leave just a wake of disappointed babies that hate me and expected more from me. Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. Every time I come to LA, I struggle with this because this town tends to overwork me. I think that not getting enough sleep, not getting enough just like quality time with friends, and just feeling like you have to look a certain way, and like everyone here is on Ozempic and everyone's thin. Everyone is constantly going to some kind of Rumble boxing class or like a spin class.
What is a Rumble?
I don't know. I walk by this place all the time that's like Rumble Fitness, and it's just like hot girls going in and out with cropped sweatshirts and
where is
tummies.
it? Where is the class?
On Sunset, between Pink Dot and fucking the store.
Right near where you read Nikki a poem.
I didn't read them. I let her do her own reading.
Yeah, she let me read them, and I had to like. It was the stress of like, okay, I have to read this and actually like commit it to mind, but I also have to remember to make fun of him for this later on. There was a lot going on in my mind in that moment. Yeah, I mean, these are like the constant things that I have, but it's all because I'm just stressed out about Kelly Clarkson, which all of a sudden showed up on my schedule because someone dropped out, and so it's just like a thing, and I just don't feel prepared. As long as I get prepared, I'll be great. But I need more caffeine in me. I need more. I just need I need something to snap me out of this. Maybe I need to meditate, do some breath work, make a gratitude list. I need to snap out of this.
But also, I think you need to remind yourself that
go through a breakup, feel alive.
I think all of that busyness is a choice. You need to remind yourself that, like, you do more stuff than most people do because you're a very kind person and you say yes to everything, to a lot of things you're asked to do, and every single podcast, and you don't need to do any of those things. You don't need to do Kelly. I mean, you need to do Kelly Clarkson now because you said yes, but you don't need to do any particular talk show. If you took 1 or 5 off, if you weren't in the media for 6 months, that would not do anything negative to you.
Yes, it would. Are
no,
you
it wouldn't.
me?
6 months would do nothing.
Oh,
Everyone
Benny
loves and
boy.
remembers you. I'm telling you. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. There's definitely something to be said for doing the things. There's something to be said for being a little more mysterious and not doing all the things. So my only point with that is that definitely you don't have to say yes to every podcast and every single show. And if you said to Kelly Clarkson, "Oh, I'm not ready this week. I'd love to do it in the next couple months," they would book you in 2 months, and it would be the same.
They would probably like me more. I mean, I struggle with that too available type thing because you feel like.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So if you're choosing to do things, just remind yourself every time, it'll help you get up for it, that it's a choice and you won't dread the things as much because you truly don't have to be doing it. Like when I started stand-up, like 3 years in, I one day just all of a sudden got really tired of saying the same jokes over and over again. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? My whole life now is going to be repeating my own thoughts over and over again. And then I thought about it for a week and I realized, what a privilege to be able to just have funny thoughts I thought of that I get to say, and I get to choose to tell them, or I can choose to tell different ones, or do crowd work. I don't have to do it.
Okay.
And I never got tired of it again because I realized it's a choice. Even though we want to hate on it and think negatively, it actually is a choice that we're making over and over again. So each time you choose it.
Absolutely one. No, I had a call with my team on a Zoom like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I want to be a regular on Kelly Clarkson. That has to happen in 2023. Like, that's a goal. I love that show. I see clips all the time. They look cool. She's amazing. I always have fun on that show. I always kill it on that show. And then the next week, they're like, Kelly Clarkson, we booked it. I'm like, not now. Like, I want it in 2023, which is supposed to be a couple of years from now. Like, I want to do all these things, and then they arrive, and you're like, oh, I gotta fucking do them. And I mean, I think that's everyone relates to that. Whether you sign up for a workout class, you sign up for
If you tell your team, I want the thing, and they go then get it for you, that's a little different.
No, they did their due diligence. I don't even know what that word means, but they do that. And then I feel, and I want to just say with Kelly Clarkson, I do want to do that. The podcast I did yesterday, I did want to do it because it was about, I got to read a book. book and I do a book club podcast and I like that podcast. I've listened to it. And so I am choosing things that I want to do. There are things though that, yeah, you do because you're just like, this is going to spread the word about my show. Do I want to have a call today with the Kalamazoo paper about my shows in Kalamazoo? Fuck no, I don't. Do I want to call a radio station in Joliet, Illinois? Probably not. That's not because I don't like those people. They're not good entertainers. But like the other day I had a radio interview and final thought. I had a radio interview the other day and they were like, we interviewed you 5 years ago and I just want to say you're just as nice as you were then and now you're way more famous, but you're still as nice, as rare. And I was like, well, it shouldn't be rare, but thank you for saying that. And I go, I'm sure you guys see people change throughout the years because it's a radio station that's been on forever. And they were like, yeah, we made some people's careers and then they don't even call in anymore. They were like, Larry the Cable Guy used to call in 3 times a week and we haven't heard from him. And I go, it's not because he doesn't appreciate what you did. He's fucking busy. He can't do 3 times a week anymore. And he was on his way up. You got to do that stuff. And so I was kind of like, it made me think, oh man, if I turn down this radio station in the future, their story will be Nikki big time does. She thinks she's too big for it.
Right.
But what the story is I just can't fit it all. I would love to keep doing that show 3 times a week. I'm sure Larry would too. When he had time, it was what he did. And I think that also weighs on me of, I can relate this to listeners who are like, shit, Nikki, shut up about, your showbiz life. You might have... I have this in my own life. My boyfriend and I talk about constantly like, no one does anything anymore. No one wants to hang out. None of our friends want to hang out. People are just like, they don't think to invite us to things, and then I go, it's because they have kids and families. It's not that they don't like us less. They just have less space in their brain to remember to invite us. And it's the same thing of like, just not taking it personally. And I think that really is what I have to work on more than anything is like not everything is a personal attack to me. That's almost like being in that room at the Critics' Choice and just being like, you're insignificant. Even thinking about myself in those terms is like, no one cares about you. That's my problem. But also, who cares that no one cares about you? That's also like, it's self-serving to even think that people should care about me, even though I don't want that. Like, it's so dumb.
But it's also the opposite because there's probably a good chance Julia Roberts is like, I haven't had a hit in a long time. I see that Nikki girl on everything. And
she didn't
holy
win.
Shit. Right.
Her category
loser.
And like and she's there. God. You don't go to the Critics' Choice Awards if you're nominated unless you think I might win. Like if you thought you were going to lose or had any inside info, you would not be there. It's embarrassing to lose when you're in person. Your face is up there and the camera's on you, and then they say someone else's name, and then the cameraman slowly like pans to go to someone else. That's so embarrassing. So yeah, she probably had those same moments too, even though she looked like 25 and was flawless and radiant and definitely the belle of the ball. But
I think you should just talk on Kelly Clarkson about this moment where you're sitting at the table and Julia Roberts is right behind you, and then your face is so priceless. It's so funny. This could be a 10-minute segment. Just like tell us everything that's going on in your mind
that's
right here.
That's the poster for like your Candace Bushnell series. Like
it really is. Oh my God, that's a good pitch.
It's a great.
That's a really good idea. What would it be called?
On the sidelines.
Table 27.
I already have a... that's good.
I've had a title for a million years I wanted to do called Nontourage.
Oh, that's great. Yes.
Which is like,
really
it's the opposite of Entourage. It's like the real story. It's like you go home alone and like you're trying to do the things and you don't get all the big things and there's no Vince,
Yes.
There's no
that is like, I should spin this into a show.
Yeah, and you could still have the brother Johnny Drama who just for some reason is also your brother, and he appears every episode and just goes, "Sorry, bro." Just his only 2 words he ever said on that show. "Sorry, bro."
That was really good.
Thank you very much.
Ben Gleib, thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. I hope that I get to see you on this trip. I'm leaving Thursday. I don't know that I will.
Yeah, I didn't even know you were in LA. Well, I guess I realized.
I didn't tell you because I just didn't have time. I knew that you would obviously be a person I would hang out with if I had time.
Thursday is several days away. We could maybe squeeze it in.
It is several days away, keyword. Yeah, let's squeeze it in. We'll text each other. I got to go to a fitting now and then get back in bed and think about Kelly Clarkson. Watch me on that tomorrow. See what I come up with. Who
I can't
knows?
wait. And I love you too, by
Anya
the way,
Marina.
and you are the best. And thank you for
I
having
love
me.
you
It's so nice to
much.
meet
You're
you,
such a
Anya.
dear friend.
So good to
Same
meet you
here.
too. This
nice
was a
to
blast.
meet you. Nice to meet you too. And
Yeah.
this has been very nice. Noah, it's
Check out
wonderful
Ben.
to see you.
Follow him on things. He's hilarious. Check out his Instagram lives where he's singing karaoke alone to 18 people. My fans love an Instagram live, and I go live on our account all the time, and there's like 30 people there, and it's sometimes I sometimes put a sticker over the number, Ben, so that
I
you
like
don't
that.
think about it. It's really a good idea because
Instantly,
it can make
all
you
my
sad.
brain thought was that's the one that's going to have 1,000 viewers, and I'll never know.
I know.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
a
look
good
at the
look.
very end.
One time I went on TikTok live for the first time, and I started off frame, and it was like 700 viewers, and I was so excited. I'm like, whoa. And the second I stepped on frame, it just dropped. It was the most demoralizing. It was so, like, people would rather watch a blank wall than have me
you ever
entertain them.
Rarely do this, but you post a story and I'll be like, this is actually a good one. I wonder like if this would be what I could do on TikTok or something. And I'll look at the analytics of it and it shows how many people clicked forward, like just went past it, how many people exited out of your story, how many people went back. Like that's what I wanted is the number of people going like, oh, I want to watch this again. It's like 2. I was like, I thought it would be like thousands. I was like, this is entertaining. People just go.
It's the worst.
Tinks, this girl that I follow, Tinks, did an impression of like when you say he watches my Instagram stories, like, oh my God, he's like been watching my Instagram stories. What it really looks like, and it's just a guy going like, and like just clicking it so fast,
And he's
going
on a
through.
toilet.
On a toilet, yes. It's
Yeah.
like it's never is what you think. It's so embarrassing that someone would like be watching my face and like click off of it. Even though I do that to everyone all day. I do it to both of you and it doesn't mean any
Thanks
harm.
so much. Didn't know that
No,
till now.
it means love.
And another horrible metric is the one that tells you watch time. Like you think the view counts you're getting are real views, and it's like a 1-minute video. It's only a fucking minute long.
No.
And the average watch time 9 seconds. Like, you didn't even get to the first thought. You didn't even get to the
Brutal.
first joke.
Now
You
I
didn't
know
get to-
why you two are a little prone to depression. I didn't even
No,
know
I
about
never
these
look
analytics.
at it. I looked at it one time and I go, I mean, I'm better at not reading comments than fucking anyone. I don't look at any of that stuff. I wouldn't be here with us today if I read that stuff.
Yeah.
If I looked at my likes and followed how many followers I lose, I literally would have killed myself by now. I'm not kidding you. I would not be alive right now because it's so depressing. So it's rare that I don't seek this stuff out. It was just one time I looked and I go, I will never go back. It was Pandora's box of hell. And then I hear on Twitter, there's a new button that shows you, or there's a new thing that shows you how many people have seen your tweet. It used to just be like if they liked it. Now you can see how many people saw it versus the number of likes and how many people did not like it. Unreal.
I hate that stuff too, but I just honestly use it to make me stronger. I
Really?
look at that stuff and it makes me feel kind of bad, but I really feel like I'm taking it on his arm. I'm like,
I
all
use
right,
it to make
I'm
the
good.
rope stronger that I'm tying to a fucking sprinkler system. In my
To a
hotel room.
sprinkler.
I
to
mean,
the sprinkler
I'm
in the
just trying to
hotel.
think of like, what do you rig a rope
I just
to?
pictured
I mean, I've never
lawn
really done it.
sprinklers, someone trying to kill themselves and just being like jetted around the front
That's what I thought too.
just being sent everywhere with this rope, not being killed, but just being like a dog, like
You guys haven't
thrown
looked at enough
around a
ceilings
yard.
to consider what you'd hang yourself off of. You weren't in my
But it says
frame
you
of
can't
mind.
even put a hanger on it. How could you
I know,
possibly?
that's a good point. Well, I mean, like the piping. I should have been more specific. This is why I'm going to bomb on Kelly. My jokes are good. I'm not good off the. I'm not good riffing. I'm just going to end it all. And by that, I just mean this podcast. And I'll see you
But
on Kelly
that's-
Clarkson tomorrow. This was
No,
so much
don't end
fun.
it yet. One more sentence before you end it, because that's exactly how you see it wrong. Because you were so. I'm sorry if anybody's ever forcibly not let you end your own podcast before. Sorry, but
Wow,
that's
this
exactly
feels-
how you see it wrong. Because you just riffed so funnily. It was the best back and forth.
You're
It
gonna
was
get
about the
canceled
piping. And,
someday because they're gonna go. Ben Gleib wouldn't let her end her podcast in 2023, and it's gonna be like 2045 when that is like, if a guy doesn't let you end your podcast, and then you're gonna get canceled from what, and you're gonna go. It was a different time back then. We were friends.
You can interrupt women.
I don't mean to mansplain your podcast, but thank you all for listening to the Nikki Glaser Podcast. I really appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you again soon. Don't be
Jackpot.